But Elon he thinks he's Tony Stark. That's basically it. He fancies himself as a playboy, but he's a really awkward guy. He might even be bipolar. He definitely goes through some very interesting mood swings. You catch him at the wrong time. You don't know what he's going to do. But I'll tell you what I do know. I know that he is deathly afraid, not of Kamala, because he's not afraid of Kamala. Kamala's Hillary Clinton. She's as corporate as it gets. But the difference, and I've made this very clear, the one, if any, positive that has come from the Biden-Harris administration is simply this. There has been some advancements when it comes to slight corporate regulation. And the NLRB has done a good job with improving the movements for labor. Not a lot. In fact, they don't deserve any support because they broke the railroad strike. However, there is no denying that if I were to pinpoint one specific area as to why Elon has jumped on the Trump train, it's because Sean Fain, who's probably the best labor leader we have in this country right now, got the United Auto Workers at Daimler, Ford, and Stellantis their raises that as of today is the equivalent of double the salary that Tesla workers make. You think Elon wants to deal with that shit? Not a chance. Because if Elon has to pay his workers $74,000 a year instead of $37,000, to even think that we're contemplating these numbers is insanity. Because it's still not enough. But if Elon had to up the wages to match what Ford, Daimler, and Stellantis are doing, he would lose stock value. He'd lose billions in value. We can't have that. It's all about the shareholders, baby. But sooner or later, you realize that there's a hell of a lot more workers than there are shareholders. That's why the longshoremen, you can say what you want about Harold Daggett, and he may have some friends that are not exactly on the right side of the law, but he got his workers a substantial raise because they threatened to shut down the ports. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, was Governor DeSantis ready to break that strike. He was licking his chops. He was so excited to be able to bash a few heads in. Needless to say, Elon is aligning with Trump, and it's strictly for business purposes. We saw what Trump did when he had his rally a few months back and basically ripped into Sean Fain. And he did it because Elon pledged $45 million to his campaign. I'll totally go up there. I'll tell them they're really terrible. Bashing Sean Fain in favor of Elon Musk is not a winning strategy, especially in a state like Michigan, which is why he backed off of that real fast. Trump will say stupid things. He'll make stupid comments. But he doesn't generally stay on message if the message isn't working. He'll adjust. That's why he's good. So at this rally, Elon decided he needed to share his thoughts, and apparently he has gone not just MAGA, but Black MAGA. So here we go.
You know, the true test of someone's character is how they behave under fire. And we had one president
No pun intended on that one, let me assure you.
who couldn't climb a flight of stairs, and another who was fist pumping after getting shot. Fight, fight, fight. Blood coming down the face. Now, America is the home of the brave. And there's no truer test than courage under fire. And free speech is the bedrock of democracy.
Yes, it is, if only you actually believed that. We know that the Democratic Party establishment has become, or the Democratic Party as a general rule, a general principle, has become an authoritarian party, corporate authoritarian party, full stop. I mean, they may be beyond saving at this point. But you think you're any better? And the way you drop to your knees for Israel, you know, the one thing you'll notice, a number of these guys will get it right. They'll get the argument right. They'll talk about it when it comes to all measures of foreign policy except Israel. And it is worse on the right than it is on the left. I mean, they all suck, but the hypocrisy is of a certain level. You just got to know where your bread is buttered.
And if people don't know what's going on, if they don't know the truth, how can you make an informed vote? You must have free speech in order to have democracy. That's why it's the First Amendment. And the Second Amendment is there to ensure that we have the First Amendment. and get every.
Now, I will say this. That is a statement that is going to resonate. We have the Second Amendment so that we have the First Amendment. Well, you know what? For a lot of voters, that rings. It just does. The other thing I will say is that while I do not I can't say definitively, you know, how bad one major platform is to the other. But I will say, in terms of the major platforms that we do have for social media communication, between Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook. Keep in mind, Instagram and Facebook are owned by the same company, Meta, TikTok, YouTube, where we are. Yeah, Twitter probably is the least censored. Doesn't mean that censorship doesn't exist. It does. But think about how powerful Elon Musk really is. I think a part of him was just so incensed. You know, when I've intimated this idea that the 2020 election, one could argue, was rigged against Trump. It wasn't rigged from the standpoint of the simplistic view of how that is done at the ballot box. Not counting ballots, tossing ballots, shutting down polling stations, not counting the vote properly. Now, the way that the election can be rigged, if you want to call it rigged, is how the messaging is allowed to get out there through the major search engines led by Google. And if Google decides we will allow this to reach a major audience and that won't be allowed to reach a major audience, You could say the Hunter laptop story all you want, and that definitely matters and it played a significant role, but it's not the only thing. There's plenty of ways that this could be done. And then there's micro-targeting in certain areas. There's micro-targeting in heavy voter districts. Let me tell you, you could get down to the county, you could get down to the precincts where the election will be swung and how messaging will be allowed to get out there. And somebody like Elon decided, all right, well, if that's the game that has to be played, then I guess I'm just going to have to buy a medium and try to even the score. And I think it's that simple. When you're worth over $200 billion and you spend a fifth of your wealth, and when you talk about accumulating wealth, you know how that works once you get to a certain level. 40 billion, that's nothing. Not at his level. That's nothing. I think it just became a source of vanity, and that's why he did it. I don't know if he actually likes Trump or vice versa, but this is a business relationship, pure and simple. We'll finish it out.
Everyone you know and everyone you don't know, drag them to register to vote. There's only 2 days left to register to vote in Georgia and Arizona, 48 hours. Like, text people now, now. Oh, and then make sure they actually do vote. If they don't, this will be the last election. That's my prediction. Nothing's more important. Nothing's more important.
I'm getting really tired of people saying that this is the last election. I understand that fear works, and that's what people use as a tool to get people off their ass and out to the polls. But I got to tell you, even that don't work, because most people have given up on this system. And how could you not? And I'm talking to you from a perspective of a person who is in a very reasonably decent position right now economically. But I ain't fucking blind. A lot of people, when they start achieving success, want to pretend that they can isolate themselves from the rest of society that is struggling to get by. You can't do it.